part of this overall, what I think is pretty remarkable research on the importance of brakes. I mean, it changed my mind on brakes big time, that research.
I was going to say that's where I was going to go next, because I think that in any office setting, the average person has a need for taking a break of some sort. What have you learned about the most effective way to make use of your break time?
Yeah, there's some really, really good research on this. And you had mentioned, Chris, the science of sleep. And I think that the science of breaks is where the science of sleep was maybe 15 years ago. That, 15 years ago, we thought people who stayed up all night were heroic. Now we think they're idiots. And that's largely because of the science came out and said, whoa, wait a second. I think that breaks are very much in that line. And it really did change my view on it. What it shows, and it just turns out this research is actually very, the principles end up, the research ends up yielding very specific practical principles. So what we know about brakes are some just general design principles. We can't say, oh, everybody should take a 13-minute break at 2:03 p.m. or anything like that. We don't know anything about that. But the design principles are like this. Number one, something is better than nothing. So just taking any kind of a break is better than powering through. And I'm like the king. I was the king. I've deposed myself. I was the king of...
There was a coup?
There was a coup of rationality that displaced me here. I very rarely took breaks. I took it as a point of pride of just powering through some kind of toxic mix of hyper-masculinity and hyper-puritanism, where I never would take breaks. And that's completely wrong. So we know something is better than nothing. We know, and I think this makes intuitive sense to a lot of people, that breaks where you're moving are much better than breaks where you're stationary or sedentary. I was blown away by the research on the importance of nature. That is, going outside, even being exposed to trees and greens and things like that is I was really, because I'm not a huge nature person, that was really surprising to me. That's very restorative. Social breaks are better than solo breaks, particularly if you have a choice over who you take a break with. If you're forced into it, it's less effective. And that's true, amazingly enough, even for introverts. Even for introverts are more restored having breaks with other people. And the other thing that's really important now, and something I've tried to get better on, is that fully detached beats semi-detached. That there's a lot of research now on this concept of, particularly in the light of all these mobile phones, detachment. Full detachment. So if you go outside and take a break through the beautiful natural wonder that is Alexandria, but your nose is in your phone, that's not a break. And so you can use those kinds of things as guidelines. And what I've done myself is, again, I like things that are really super practical and doable. What I myself have done is each day on my list of things to do, I make a break list. So I say, okay, I'm going to take 2 breaks in the afternoon, and I write down, 1:30. I'm going to take a break. I work out of the garage behind my house, and so what I'll often do is I'll say 1:30 walk, and I will at 1:30 I'll go out and take a walk around like just 2 blocks. All right, it's like 10 minutes. That's it, and then come back to my office. That's it. But what I'm getting is I'm getting full detachment. I don't bring my phone with me. I'm getting a little bit of movement. I'm getting a little bit of nature, and it actually works. So you don't have to go crazy. So 2 10-minute breaks are incredibly effective. And I think the bigger point here, and again, I have the zeal of the converted in this, because I truly have changed my mind on this, is we have to start thinking of breaks as part of our performance. Not as a deviation from our performance, but as part of performance itself. And I had it completely flipped. And the truth of the matter is that there's a difference between professionals and amateurs, and it's this. Professionals take breaks. Amateurs are the ones who don't take breaks. And I always had it the reverse. Amateurs don't take breaks. Pros know to take breaks. And so in a workplace culture, a workplace culture like this is going to be pretty amenable to something like that, because you have so much autonomy. Everybody has a shared sense of mission and whatnot. But having those regularly integrated breaks, even if they're 10 minutes, is incredible bang for the buck.
Coming up, Dan talks about